Good afternoon, Dr. Louw. We are so excited for the launch of your book, Shaped by the Storm, today. And while I am welcoming you, let me just show a copy. I think it's absolutely stunning. Please go ahead and tell us some more about your book.
It is a great honor to talk about the book. Shaped by the Storm is a profound metaphor for resilience, growth, and beauty that emerges from adversity. Embracing the metaphor was key to unlock the insights that I try to express in this book to help people to see that there's strength in themselves. I used the little bonsai tree as a symbol of resilience. Some of these trees are thousands of years old. I don't think we're going to become thousands of years old because life is life and we've got a limited lifespan. I took it from the perspective of medical trauma. Now, medical trauma is a very complex concept in the sense of it can be something that happens to me, my experience of having to go to the doctor, having to hear very bad news. But medical trauma also hits families, friends, and colleagues. When I started to do the research for the book, there were many people that told me, my child my child had cancer. My child passed away because of cancer. My child has got a personality um, that's different from other children's personality. And I don't want to go into the labels, but there is something like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. There are many, many autoimmune diseases that cripple families to a large extent. But we can navigate life. So from medical trauma, I went into the story of the bonsai, the beautiful fact that people want to bring these little trees into their homes to bring nature closer to them. There's beautiful pictures of people taking the little bonsais in their high-rising flats in Japan and in China and putting it on the windowsills of the corridors. In other words, outside the living spaces, and they share the beauty of that. So for me, I wrote this book to help people to find meaning in imperfection. If you had a limb amputated, that limb is not coming back, and you might see yourself as differently. And many of the medical trauma that people go through leave physical scars, but there are also emotional scars. If you look at some of the bonsai trees, as I explained in my book, there are trees that they purposefully scar to signify the hardship of life, to, to signify what happens in nature. The little cascade kind of bonsai is a symbol of this little tree that's on the edge of a cliff. It has the wish to survive. The bonsai tree can be shaped and pruned, and then the anchors are really important. Strong anchors allow the bonsai to thrive in drought, wind, and in other storms. I don't think medical trauma comes in a single storm. It might be a continuous storm. There's a place in the Cape Province that's called Dwarskersbos. I don't know the scientific name offhand, but all the trees are like skew
Wonderful.
in the direction of the wind. And sometimes medical trauma feels like it weakens you, but you have got unseen strength. The unseen strengths that you have are harnessed in the gardener's hands. And I believe that, you know, if you go through medical trauma, often you ask, why did this happen to me? Why? And before Jesus left the earth, he told his disciples, I leave you the Holy Spirit as a comforter. But you know, we are allowed to ask why. Because again, he is our example. On the cross, he said, my God, why did you forsake me? It's a human emotion. And in this book, it was very important for me to ask the question, how did the storm shape you? How did this storm bring your strengths to the surface? How can you celebrate your scars? Because every scar is a testament that you survived. Human emotions, I think, is very important in dealing with trauma because you were created with a whole spectrum of emotions. There's no good or bad emotions. Every emotion has a purpose. In Shaped Like a Storm, the concept of rooting emphasizes an understanding of your foundation, your identity, your value, and your sources of strength. You are not a one-dimensional person. And I try to emphasize that in the understanding of your foundation, your faith, your spirituality, your relationships, and even your past experiences. I'm a great supporter of emphasizing personal values. The moment you say, this is important in my life, it's the non-negotiables. When you're sick, a lot of people can grab to anything just to help them to become better. They will go to spiritual leaders, they will go for medicine that we don't always understand. But the hunger is to nurture their roots. Nurture their roots so that they can reconnect with their faith, that they can cultivate good relationships. Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense relationships that might be breaking you down more than it's building you up. I also, in the book, emphasize that a daily routine is really important to help you to ground yourself. Root bound. We think that the little bonsai's roots can't grow. They actually grow because if they don't grow, you're going to see it at the top. At the top, we see the need for pruning. The purpose of pruning is a very deliberate act. If a bonsai master does not prune a tree, that tree will lose its shape, it will lose its ability to grow in that pot. But the bonsai master, the gardener, is very careful about how to prune. Often they would contemplate and look at that tree for hours and turn it before they pick up the scissors. Sometimes we need to be honest and we need to think about what we need to prune. We need to get rid of unhealthy thought patterns, emotional burdens, toxic relationships, and outdated expectations. Many of the medical biological um, diagnosis that people receive is not going to change in this lifetime, but it does not mean that they cannot embrace today, that they cannot embrace hope for the future. Your attitude, for instance, is the most important thing in pain management. The other day, I went to a meeting and there was a lady that had some ailment, but she cursed life. She didn't want to live anymore. She said she can't wait to die. And my heart went out to her because she needs a little bit of love. and a lot of comfort. There's no use to tell her, but you need to change your attitude. That's not so easy. But comfort and healing of your heart goes a long way. We need to adapt. That's a fact. There's no way that we can get through that. And pruning is not punishment. Pruning helps you to shape a more impressive, a more beautiful you because you become comfortable in your own skin. That brings me to the section on reshaping and renewing. You know, these little bonsai trees that are used as a metaphor go through all the seasons in the little pots that we see in nature. The maples, for instance, have a show of the most beautiful autumn colors. Yes, they're in a little pot, they're not in the wind and the rain, and there's somebody looking after them. But the art there for me is in the reshaping, is refocusing. Change your focus. What is meaningful in your life? Embracing new strengths. Yes, life changes us. But if we don't change, we're going to break. We need to create new patterns of living, new daily routines. And I absolutely value creative expression. As an artist, if life is hard and I struggle to put stuff in words, I would draw. You teased me and said I drew 1,000 trees. I don't know if I drew 1,000 trees. I lost count, but I shared some of the trees in the book. And, you know, the most precious picture for me in the book is that little branch with the cherry blossoms. Blossoms is this thing of we can bear fruit. We can trust the master gardener's design. And we were designed to thrive. We were designed, even when life knocks us, we were designed to thrive. That's a little bit more about the book. And my thought is that, you know, we are in a war, a spiritual war, an emotional war. And that war in itself leaves us with scars. I hope the people will enjoy this book in little bites. Read it day by day. Every book, every chapter, there's 33 chapters, has got a little bonsai tree at the top to show you the beautiful trees and shapes. No, it's not all the styles. It's just a few out of the thousands of pictures that I drew. But I thought it is very special to share that. There's quotes that you can share. There's food for thought. In every section, I also touched on the spirituality. I'm very grateful for Wynand Jr. for the poems. And the great thing for me is that we're different people, but we can express ourselves in our unique ways. Later in the video, you're going to get an invitation to join my author's blog. Dr. Barbara's Bulletin has got a free guide for this book and a free chapter that you can share with your friends. I believe Leonie is going to read that chapter for us, or a part of that chapter later. The chapters are short, so that if you become tired, you can stop and you can reflect and you can go back. I'm very honored to have written this book and to share it with you today. It's not supposed to be a tear jerker. It is an encouragement for whoever is sitting in a hard place, whether it's yourself or a loved one. And I trust that we will be able to share a journey with each other by keeping contact through the bulletin. You're welcome to contact me on social media. I will respond. If you share your thoughts about the book, I answer my emails. I personally answer every one of them. If it takes a little bit longer than you would like, please be patient with me. Thank you for giving me the platform to share about my book.
Thank you, Dr. Barbara, for writing the book so that I can work on a different platform than usual. It's so nice to see everybody's faces and to see the people that Dr. Barbara has been mentioning as part of her inspiration and her journey as well. So when I first read the book, let me show you the book first, because I've got my copy. I've had it for a week and a half. I like my copy so much. Isn't it pretty? So when I first read the book, I found myself stopping often, not because I couldn't keep going and because I struggled with reading, but because I needed to take in what I've just read. The book gives voice to pain, yes, but it also speaks to hope and resilience and understanding and the quiet work that goes into healing. So I'm going to read a part of chapter 10, and I hope I do it justice because it's so beautifully written. Life does not remain still. It shifts, evolves, and sometimes it changes so suddenly that it leaves us gasping for air. Medical trauma, loss, and unexpected hardship bring a force of change that feels insurmountable. Yet, just as a tree bends in the wind but does not break, we too can endure even the fiercest of storms. This resilience is not about resisting the winds of change, but about learning to move with them, to bend without breaking, to adjust without losing the core of who we are. Wisdom of flexibility. In nature, the trees that survive the most violent storms are not the rigid ones, but those that know how to move with the wind. A bonsai, carefully shaped by its gardener, teaches this same lesson. Each branch is guided, each bend intentional, shaping the tree into something both strong and beautiful. If a tree resists, if it refuses to yield, it risks snapping under pressure. The same principle applies to life. Rigidity in the face of adversity leads to suffering, but flexibility, learning to adjust, to adapt, to shift while holding onto the essential parts of oneself, fosters resilience. Resilience does not mean denying the pain of change. It does not mean pretending that we are unbothered by the storms that rage around us. Rather, it means understanding that we can survive them and that even when life feels overwhelming, we are capable of moving through it and finding new ways to grow. There will come moments when the weight of change feels too heavy to bear, when it seems that one more burden will be the thing that finally shatters us. In those moments, we have a choice. Do we harden, resisting the change with everything in us, or do we allow ourselves to bend, shift our stance to embrace a new way of being? Bending does not mean giving up. It does not mean surrendering to despair. It means adjusting our expectations and allowing ourselves the grace to experience difficulty without believing that difficulty must break us. It means acknowledging that life may no longer look the way it once did, but that does not mean it cannot still hold beauty, meaning, and growth. At the end of each of the chapters, Dr. Barbara wrote short thoughts that I think are truly valuable. Even if you are so tired and so exhausted from everything that's going on, you can read the 2 sentences that she adds there as inspiration. So the bonsai wisdom for the chapter in front of me is just as a bonsai tree is shaped by the hands of its caretaker, our lives are shaped by the love and support of those around us. Surround yourself with positive influences and watch your spirit flourish. So to read the book, I must say, don't sit and read everything at once. It's a lot. It provides space for thinking and space for feeling. So as the book allows for space, I think it's also important that we allow ourselves the space to reflect and to think and to return to the thoughts that held more weight for us in the specific situation where we are at in our lives. And I think it also is a fantastic book to share. Don't just read it alone and keep it for yourself under your little blanket, but to share with somebody else, to share the experience and the healing with somebody else as well. And after you've read a tough section, and some of them were tough for me as well, take a walk, pray, go and do something kind for yourself while you process all of the wisdom that is contained in this book.